Hello my lovelies, welcome to my little cottage by the sea, the place where I love to stitch and craft my way to a vintage inspired and sustainable lifestyle. Much as I've had incredible luck finding gorgeous thrifted treasure of late, which I shared recently with you, I have also had incredible luck finding and being gifted some beautiful fabrics. So in this episode, I'm sharing rather a lot of fabric with you. It's most definitely a big cup of tea episode. So let's dive in to my epic fabric haul. These first two fabrics are true vintage and I got them from Sunless Antiques, a shop local to me that sells the most beautiful vintage and antique clothing and furniture. And I was just over the moon to get these. So the first one is rather a showstopper, a bit of a holy grail for those of us who love vintage. And it's this cold rayon length of cloth. It's all still packaged as was with the little label. I'm not entirely sure how much there is on here. Its label is in French, maybe just under 3 yards. So it's just absolutely sublime. I love this swirly whirly design on it, very of the time, and it's this lovely berry wine colour. It's a bit deeper than it's looking on camera. It looks a little bit bright, and it's just making me think of the Attack, Mars Attacks, the alien lady, sort of in reverse. I've just been to see the Tim Burton exhibition, so it's very much on my mind. I actually got this at the same time as that black vintage dress that I showed in my thrift haul. And then I got this black cotton, sort of a check with the flower, and I'm not entirely sure how much there is of this even, but you can see how narrow it is. It's just literally that. And I think this is probably calling out to become a blouse maybe, or something of the sort. There's a couple of meters maybe just under of that one as well. This is probably the only fabric and project that I've got a very definite plan for, because I do actually still have some pending things that I want to make from the last sewing plans that I did. I've been thinking recently about some kind of dress that can be worn every day over all the lovely blouses that I have. Been really sort of missing that piece in my wardrobe, and I bought myself this pattern, the Simplicity S9449. It's a 1960s vintage, but it really looks very sort of 50s or even late 40s. It's that particular silhouette, which is really wearable, that I really like. And you've got the 4 options on here. So I want to make this option, and I've just got some black cord, which doesn't look that sexy on screen. And I'm aware that it's just going to be covered in Ghost's floof within about 3 seconds. But I think it's a really, really practical thing to make, and love the silhouette. This is very much a priority make for the next few weeks. And it's interesting that sometimes the most sensible item that you're making, the one that's the least sort of sparkly and fantastical and magical, is the one that you end up wearing day in, day out over however many years. I think I'm actually going to end up making all the versions. I really like the pencil skirt here. I'm really looking forward to updating my sort of everyday layering pieces with this dress. And that takes me on to my next fabric, which is this Viscose spot, a sort of a cream. It's very, very pretty, very, very lightweight. I got this from Cloth Control. I got that cord from the wonderful Jacob's haberdashery, and got the pattern there as well. And I want to make another of the Pierrot blouses. I did a pattern cutting video tutorial for the Pierrot blouse, and I want to make another one of these. I've been working on one in a Liberty, and I've done like a double, more frothy collar. So I'm thinking that maybe with this I might make a sort of slightly shorter collar, but do a few layers, so you definitely get that kind of Pierrot look. And I think this would look really nice with that everyday dress. And I've also been working on a trouser pattern over on Patreon in November, and that has to be made up as well. So I'm sort of working on these things as a kind of mini capsule collection in a way to wear and enjoy in those sort of bleaker months that happen after the festive season. As I'm working out what I want to do with these fabrics, I'm actually using my dressmaker's journal. So that everyday dress, I'll do a project page for that. And then I'm using the fabric stash pages and cutting out all the little samples of these. And I'm going to put that up in my sewing room. And instead of just documenting the fabrics, I'm going to sort of say how much I've got and the project that I possibly want to do with that particular fabric, just to keep my sort of brain on track. I was really pleased when I came up with that not terribly clever idea, but it sort of really helped me in thinking about the way in which I'm going to keep on track with lots of projects. I'm calling all these next fabrics my fabrics of dreams, and these are all rather special, rather spangly, rather magical fabrics. I don't necessarily have firm plans, and they are all rather glamorous, and I'm not sure what I want to make with them. I've got some general ideas, but they are all very beautiful and I'm very excited to share them. The first fabric is this pink shiny sparkly viscose. I've got 4 meters of this. I bought it from Cloth Control and it was just £2.50 a metre. It was on sale, so £10 for all of this fabric in my favourite Schiaparelli shocking pink. And I think, it may not blow your mind to hear this, but I think I'm going to be making a vampire's wife dress, much like my pink cord one, but probably with a longer frill and maybe longer sleeves, or I'm not entirely sure yet. Haven't really sort of worked out what I'm doing with this one. The other option is to do a version of the Kate dress that I also did in a sort of a faux Liberty-ish fabric, but I'm just absolutely in love with this one. And of course I will be updating my thread, because if you watched that video all about my vampire's wife dresses that I had made, the pink cord, the one in the shocking pink, I'd sewn with vintage thread, which is disintegrating. So I must make sure I buy some new thread to sew this, because the thought of sewing up this beautiful fabric and then it just unraveling is just more than I can bear. Before I show you this next fabric, let me give you a little bit of context. My favourite all-time fabric print from Liberty London is a fabric print called Honeymoon from the 30s. It's got lovely little sweet peas and delicate little spider webs on it, and I am so in love with that fabric. And I was heartbroken to find that the place that I used to buy it by the metre no longer has it, and other than just finding like little craft bits of it on Etsy and hereabouts, it's just not possible to buy it by the metre. I don't know if it makes me incredibly pathetic, but I did have quite a blubble about it. I resigned myself to the idea that I was never going to be able to buy enough of it to make a dress, and that was that. Anyway, a dear friend who was having a sort out of her fabric stash gave me this, which is 4 meters of Honeymoon. It's in a different colourway to the one that I usually buy, but it's incredible beautiful anyway, and I am so over the moon. Again, blubble time. I'm not entirely decided, because I'm probably just going to sit and look at it for about 8 years before I make a decision about what to make with it. But I think I'm going to make a dress along the lines of the dresses made by the brand I Do Declare, which just makes the most beautiful dresses. They're very fairy tale. I am having a fairy tale year here in my little cottage by the sea and on Patreon, so there's lots of wonder and enchantment, and I just want a dress to waft around in and feel magical in, because the world is a bit bonkers. So I am just giving myself as much magic as I possibly can. So to have been given this fabric is magic and wonderful, and I can never thank you enough. You know who you are. And I am just very, very excited to have this fabric, because it just means so much to me, which probably also makes me quite pathetic. I then bought myself an early Christmas present, because Liberty London were having a 20 or 30% off, I can't remember how much. So I bought myself 3 meters of this really beautiful print called Poppy and Daisy. I just absolutely love this fabric, and I bought it with the specific aim of making another one of my Vera dresses, but with this one I'm going to do big sort of fancy sleeves. I'm calling it my Liberty Dress of Dreams, and I will probably do a little sew along video with that, because I think it will be just such a lovely little soothing cozy project to really brighten those dismal, potentially dismal January days. And I just am so over the moon with this fabric. I cannot wait to make this dress. And the great thing about that Vera dress is you can put your thermals underneath, and who knows, keep nice and snuggly, but also incredibly pretty in this beautiful fabric. This next fabric is rather special because it is a 1930s Viscose Duchess satin that I was very kindly given, and I'm going to be using it for my December Patreon project, which I'm just working on at the moment and will be arriving for my lovely Coven members very, very soon. And it is this green satin colour. There's a bit of a green theme going on now. I'm making a whole outfit out of this for Christmas, and there's something special that goes alongside this that my patrons are going to be getting imminently. I've also put up, just for the month of December, for all paid members, Coven members of my Patreon Tara Stitch Coven, a copy of my circle skirt pattern cutting and sewing guide. It's 24 pages and there's lots of illustrations and things in there. And I'm going to be making a circle skirt out of this, and it's got something a little bit elevated on it, something a little bit extra related to the fairy tale theme of the month. And so that's one of my plans with it. I have washed it. I mean, it's very, very dense. There's not really much drape with it, so it's going to be quite interesting to sew with and quite sculptural. And I haven't ironed it yet, so I'm wondering what will happen once it's ironed, but it's incredibly beautiful and I'm looking forward to creating a magical dress out of this one. I'll pop all the links that I possibly can in the show notes, including a link to my Patreon should you wish to come into the woods with me for 2025 and share some magical sewing adventures. Now, these last two fabrics are really special, if they can be even more special than the fabrics that I've already shown you, but these are. So in 2025, I am going to be going on a bit of an adventure, as well as the magical one on Patreon, but I'm actually going to be doing a passion project that I've thought about for many, many years and I haven't actually ever got round to doing, but I have decided that now is the time to do this passion project. I'm going to be sharing it all with my patrons as I go on this wonderful adventure. So I was talking to a dear friend of mine who's also a costumey person who lives here in Hastings, and said about my project that I wanted to do. She has some of the most amazing antique and vintage fabrics, and often she has little sales, and I asked her if she wouldn't mind just giving me a preview when she does her next one. Skip to a few months later, she says to me she's had a big old sort out of her studio and actually she's gonna get rid of loads of fabrics, so she's got loads for me. I'm thinking that I'm gonna have a little preview and gonna be able to buy little scraps and bits and pieces that she no longer wants, but she said, no, I've just got loads for you, I'm just going to give it to you, which was incredibly generous, incredibly kind. So then I said, I can just run up to your house and grab, and she said, no, it's bags and bags of fabric. There's like massive bin bags full of fabrics for you. So she dropped them round and I was just absolutely amazed. And when I opened these bags of fabric, they were not just little scraps and offcuts. They were meters and meters in some instances of some of the most beautiful fabric that I have seen. Absolutely perfect for my passion project that I'm going to be embarking on. But also within all of that, just some of the most incredible fabrics. I'm going to be sharing a sort of a fabric unbagging with my patrons as a sort of a bonus behind the seams episode, but I'm going to share these two fabrics with you now because I think you will appreciate why I'm quite so over the moon as I am. They are both the same fabric and they come from The Vampire's Wife, and they are the lame fabrics that the sadly now defunct brand used for some of their dresses. And I have this really beautiful lilac lame, and then I have this really beautiful arsenic green, sort of chartreusey really, lame as well. And there are quite a few meters of these. I think there's at least 4 or 5 meters, and I did actually give a couple of meters to my lovely friend who gave me that Liberty Honeymoon. So I am just over the moon to have both of these, and they are of course going to become Vampire's Wife dresses. Not entirely sure which Vampire's Wife dresses they'll be, and not entirely sure wherever I'm going to wear them, but as long as I'm feeling wonderful and magical in my little cottage by the sea, I can just wear them every day if I want to. That is the joy of being able to make your own clothes and create the magic that you wish to in your life. So that is rather an epic fabric haul, and I really hope you've enjoyed looking at some of these fabrics. I'm really excited about all of them and very, very blown away by the kindness and generosity that people have just given me some of this treasure, because I am just in raptures about all of this. And actually looking at it spread all over my dining room table now, it all looks quite cohesive and colour coordinated, which I'm really pleased about because I do love a little bit of a colour coordinated palette, and it's all in colours that I absolutely adore. Let me know which of those fabrics particularly caught your magpie eye, and let me know also what you'd do with them, because I haven't 100% set in stone my sewing plans. It's all a little bit possibility and tenuous in my head, but I know that I'm going to really, really love sewing with all of them. That is just one of the great pleasures, sewing with beautiful fabric and making clothes of your dreams. As ever, my lovelies, thank you so much for taking the time to spend the time with me here in my little cottage by the sea. I have a couple of festive videos on the way for you, my lovelies, so till then, bye.